Good morning, you guys, or afternoon. I'm late. I am so late. I apologize for my for being late. If you guys will do me a favor, I'm having a bit of a morning. I'm trying to adjust my attitude so I can stop attracting my negative because I started off kind of crazy this morning. So, creating with you guys is an excellent way to do that. But if you will say hello and let me know where you're from so I can know that you're here, that would be awesome. Um, I don't know. Let's get started. So, for today's quick craft, hey Sylvia, how are you this morning? Afternoon. So I say this every time. My intention is for today to really do a quick craft. Say that fast 5 times. I have this piece this is from our scrap wood pile, and we attached a piece of like strapping metal. I love it because it's nice and it's crusty. It's so beautiful. And so today we are gonna make us like a shelf sitter, a really cute shelf sitter using recycled decoupage paper. Hey Linda. And I'm not supposed to be talking to you guys. I'm gonna try to focus. Focus. So if you are new here, good afternoon. My name is Royce. I am the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures. My goal is to meet you here every morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, although today I am so incredibly late. And we are doing quick crafts together every day in the month of January. And my goal is for us to like jumpstart our creativity for 2026. And so I said they were going to be quick crafts, but they've each been like an hour and a half. I think yesterday was 2 hours. I learned my lesson yesterday, though. We're only going to do one shelf sitter today. Yesterday, I attempted to do the front and back of 3 books in the time that we had together, and I ran out of time. But these are the books. This one has these are all from a project block. These are mostly from one paper, and we painted the back to look like old grungy leather. I think we were successful in our efforts, right? There are a few things I would change. I would probably paint black underneath here instead of the white primer. So that's something I'll remember. We're gonna do another book stack together, but it's gonna be industrial, grungy, full on Royce, and that'll be next week. Oh, I don't know if you guys could see that. I'm sorry. So this was the one we did yesterday. And then this was our like simple decoupage book that we did yesterday. We decoupaged the front and the back, and both of these images on the same sheet of decoupage paper. And then we did the back, and we did the front of this one, and we did like a little wash on this one to kind of push it back. This is without the wash. This is with the wash, and then we put transfers over the top of this one. So that was yesterday, and that was way too much. I should have done one book a day for 3 days, is what I should have done. And we still have to do some small details on those, and we'll do them together on Monday. Today, we're going to do one shelf sitter. Say that really fast 3 times. One shelf sitter today. Let me put you guys at a better angle so you can see what I'm doing. And again, just a piece of scrap wood from our scrap pile. And I had George put a strap on there. It's nice and grungy and rusty. And we're going to be using the Botanical Masterboard decoupage paper. This is actually from a couple of springs ago, but it's still good year round. So it never goes like away. And if you've never seen or used recycled decoupage papers, these papers are 21 inch by 29 inch, and it's an 18-pound tissue, so it's a little heavier than the tissue that you use to wrap your gifts with, which makes it beautiful for decoupage because it's still tissue paper, but it's a lot hardier than the tissue paper that you wrap with, and it's certainly a lot hardier than napkins. And you also have an opportunity to make larger, like home decor items, because the scale is larger generally. So we're going to use this one today. I did want to talk to you guys because the reason I was at the warehouse today is because we are getting ready for um, the recycled spring release of decoupage papers, which is one of the reasons why I was running late today, because I was trying to get all national orders out the door today. And our local post office closes at noon. Y'all, I got there at like 11:58. I made it by like the skin of my teeth, but I made it. So my international orders, if I have any retailers on that are from other countries, you guys, this papers went out today. Um, and we will be working on getting everybody's out next week because we're going to be launching new designs, not during tomorrow's live with David and I, but on our next Sunday's live, chatting and crafting with Royce and David. We'll be showing you guys the new designs for the spring release. And that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. So the spring release is going to be interesting because I designed so far out before, like I'm literally painting for Christmas right now. So we're always way far ahead than the actual season. And this release is springy, but it's like grown folks springy. I don't know. But I did want to show you guys that you have options outside of the new release. If you're wanting to, I know my makers, you guys get started way early. I wanted to talk about last year's release because it came so late in the season that I don't know that everyone really had an opportunity to play with them. And so this was one from last year. I want to say this one was the Spring Masterboard. If I have recycle retailers who are on, do me a favor, do two things. A, please put the link to where customers can find paper from you. And B, help me with the names because I don't have my tag for this one. But you guys can see last year's spring, there's bunnies and there's birds and nests and flowers and chicks, right? There's like all the things that spring. And this spring is not going to be like that. It's going to be a little bit different. And then this is a master board. These are project blocks. So you'll notice that some of them are the same. They're just larger scale. This is the larger scale that was on the smaller one. And we actually already used one. I forget what we made something together this week using, oh yeah, it's right here. We used the larger one on this one because we took this regular tin from the top of a cookie tin and we made us like a magnet board, right? And we used that paper and I did some crackle over it. I didn't put a thumbnail up for that one. I'll hang that right later. So I just wanted to show you guys that even though we're waiting for the new spring, there is spring that is available basically all the time. This is the pressed flower masterboard, one of my personal favorites. I love doing this because so much of this um, came from me. Like I created elements and scanned them and incorporated it with my regular digital art. And so that's why I can see what I did, but you guys are not able to see it. But I think it's really beautiful. And of course, tons of ephemera with this one. My tea bags that I dyed before scanning them with my dried flowers and then incorporating them into this design. So that one and some designs are just good for spring all the time. Like the butterfly masterboard is springy all year. I mean, we use it all year round, but it's definitely springy, right? So if my makers, you're looking for spring decoupage paper, you do not have to wait for the new release. There are papers that will fit that bill today. Or if you're someone who like creates for a hobby and you're looking for something springy, just know you don't have to wait for the new release because you can find it in papers that are already available. But we're going to be using like an old spring design. This one was from 2 springs ago. And this one's the Botanical Masterboard. It's so funny, you guys. I create so many designs between the designs I make for Roycycled, the designs that I make that are just sitting in a folder somewhere because for whatever reason I didn't release it, and the designs that I make for Sonnet's box. I don't always remember like exactly what I did. And sometimes I'll see somebody use one of my papers and I fall in love with it all over again. And that's the case for this botanical masterboard. One of my retailers used this paper on a clipboard and I was like, oh yeah. So on this masterboard, I really experimented with textures. You guys will see that there's like slatted wood here, and it's kind of a really pretty mint green color. And then there's another one here with slats of wood here. And then this one, you'll see it's kind of a tattered, grungy, like, como se dice, burlap texture behind this one. So this one was a lot of fun, and I forgot how fun it was to create until I saw it. I do want to point out that even though these are masterboards, they are repeats. So if you look closely, you can see that that burlap picks up here on the other side. So like if you wanted to use this as a whole piece, you could, and it would still make sense, even though there are individual blocks kind of in here. And that's the beauty of these too, is that you can still piece it together because there is a repeat, so you can use it over and over again. The two pieces I want to use for today's project are these two, the wood slats. Although now that I've looked at this one, I kind of want to use that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay focused, you guys. We're going to use these two pieces right here with the, what do you call that when the wood is slatted like that? I forget. Now, for my TikTok folks, I can either answer questions or let you see everything. It's kind of hard because I said I can't see the questions if my phone is tilted down. And I do not have my moderator today. Well, mainly because I didn't call her, but I'm sure she's busy with the baby. I hate to bug her. So we're gonna make it work. So I'm just gonna take this whole thing I can use for another project, and you guys will notice how this design, right from side to side, you can piece it together too. See what I'm saying? When I say there's a repeat, you can piece these back together. And we could do, no. So I'm gonna put this away, and I have all this paper to use for projects later, right? Because these sheets are so big, you have tons of projects within each sheet. So I'm thinking, yeah, these are plenty big. So I'm just going to cut out the ones that I'm going to use. And I'm going to try to do simple today. I know that sometimes I can get a little carried away. Never me. And I end up making a project more complicated than it needs to be. So I've been trying not to do that. It's so hard because all I see are possibilities in my mind. I have a dragonfly right there. I don't want to cut him. So I'm going to trim this right here. And I'm going to save my dragonfly for another day. And I may even, we'll see. We'll see how much time I have. And then I have the other one. And so my plan is to decoupage both sides of this shelf sitter. I should use something completely different for one side because I feel like if I use this for both sides, I'm kind of giving myself the same option on either side. What do you guys think? Because they're kind of similar in nature. Whereas if I do something completely different, let's do the, we'll do the burlap. Burlap on one side, and then we can do that on the other side. To me, that's two different, completely different personalities. And that makes sense to have different options on either side. So we'll cut these out. And I always like to point out, sometimes it's hard to show you the exact designs online because there are always elements that don't show up. They're like small details in here that don't necessarily show up on camera. Like in the back of this burlap, there's actually an additional design in that of that. And yeah, so we'll do that. So I vote that we decoupage this on this side and we make this side a little bit more grungy spring. And then we make this side like a pretty spring. What do you guys think? That way we can have two different personalities. I don't know about you guys, but I have multiple personalities. And if you guys are joining me live, thank you so much. I am not looking at comments today, you guys, because I'm trying to stay focused. Focus. But if you guys will leave a question or leave a comment, if you're on Facebook, I can go back and answer your comments and or questions. But if you are on YouTube and you have a question that you really want me to answer, you can either wait until the video posts and go underneath it and put your question, and then I'll see it. I don't see the live ones. Or you can go over to my community. If you go to the top of my channel, you can press community and you can leave a question there, and I'll pop over there and answer your question. And then for my TikTok folks, if you have like a burning question, message me, because once I kill this live, everything goes away. So I'm thinking I wanted to keep that butterfly. So I'm going to do like this. That way my sunflower is kind of over here. I always think about the rule of thirds, right? I don't want it to be like right in the center. And so I'm going to do it just like this. Even though I'm going to have to take off my grunge. You guys know I'm sad about that. But our goal for this side is to make something beautiful and grungy. And then the other side will make it pretty. So I'm running my finger along the edge of my block and it's scoring my paper. So that way, when I get ready to trim my paper, I can see, right, exactly where I need to cut. I am cutting just about 1/8 of an inch past that, just in case I shifted my paper or something weird happened. And I need to give myself a small margin of error. I like to do that. Or I might decide to shift my paper a little bit. And so now I have options. But I do like to trim off any excess paper because it makes it easier for me to control the paper and get a nice smooth application. And if you are looking for Roycycled Decoupage Paper, you guys can find it at roycycled.com. You can also find the retailers who carry recycled paper there. There's a map, and you can go in and put your area, and you can see if you have a retailer near you. If you don't, you may still want to. I'm in Arizona, so like if you're on the East Coast, you may want to reach out to the retailer closest to you because they can probably give you a better shipping rate than I can from way over here, you know. So even if your retailer that you find is online only and they're close to you, they still may be a better option for you. So I'm just gonna fill my cup up, you guys. I love these little cups. They keep so good. My product's not gonna dry out in there for like days, which is nice. And if it dries up, like I have a little bit dried up, it just pops right off. It doesn't stick at all. And I think these are supposed to be for baby food, but you know how we crafters do. We like to use things for different things. And I think we want this to be grungy, right? So I feel like I'm going to do a little bit of underpainting on this one. And this is just my ink pad here. My, not pad, what do you guys call this? It's a little dauber thingy that I use for my ink. And there's a lot of ink left on here. So I'm just going to go in and add some grunge underneath my paper. And it'll show through, but it won't be super evident, but it'll be there. And so you can add elements underneath your decoupage paper. You don't have to, but you can. I said I was going to keep this simple. I have such a hard time with that. I always want to add. But if this is your first time decoupaging, I want you to know that you could literally just decoupage this piece and it would be beautiful and you wouldn't have to do anything extra. And so if you are just learning, you may want to start simple and kind of work your way to more complicated projects. That way you can kind of get a feel for your products and your processes, and you can gain some confidence and then move to larger projects. Sometimes my people jump right into like a huge furniture project right away. And I'm not saying you won't be successful, but then you say it, it didn't come out right and I messed up. And now you're like, I can't decoupage because I don't know how. When really you really didn't give yourself a chance, right? To really learn and be successful. And I am just trying to buff this out a little bit so that my edges aren't like super obvious. I mean, there's going to be an edge, but it's always nice when it blends out a little bit more. So this, I have like darkest, darker, and then the middle will be lighter, the lightest. You know what I mean? Okay. So I have my little grungy halo. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of heat because I want to set this ink. So I'm using a permanent ink. Is what I always use. So I know if I set this with heat, I don't have to worry about it moving with my decoupage. Not all inks are permanent. So if you have ink on your craft table, make sure that you look at that before you start because some of them are made to activate because it helps with the creative process, you know, when you're doing specific things. Um, so they may reactivate. They're water soluble, right? So they don't cure. So I like to use a permanent ink that I know is going to cure either with time or if I leave it, you know, to sit for a few hours, it'll set. And so for this, I'm not really drying it as much as I am applying heat from my embossing dryer or embossing tool. I don't know what to call it. And the heat is going to set my ink so that when I go in with my water-based decoupage medium, that it's not going to move. And I am using a water-based varnish today to both adhere and seal my decoupage paper. You can absolutely use whatever water-based clear coat that you have. Clear coat, top coat, varnish. I use them interchangeably. Most of us do, you guys. It's all the same thing. Um, if you have like clay based or chalk style paint based products on your craft table, that's probably what you're using to seal your products. You can absolutely use that to adhere and seal your decoupage. If you're someone who has acrylic on your craft space, you can use an acrylic medium or a gel medium to decoupage with. And if you're using like crafty paints and you have Mod Podge or PBA glue or a decoupage medium, you can absolutely use that, right, to decoupage your projects. Most of us have what we need already. So I'm just feeling it to see if it's hot, because then I'll know that my ink is set if it's warm enough. So I think I am good. So I'm going to go right over with my varnish to adhere my paper. I do like to start with like a starter row most of the time, um, so that my paper is laying down exactly the way I want. When I'm doing a starter row or if I'm working in sections, I do want to make sure that I end off in a straight line. If I do it all warbly, I'm going to have, like if I were to do it like this, I would have trouble gaining access to this middle part to apply more product when I went to do the next section. So it's kind of important that you end with a straight line. That makes it easier. And I'm putting down a significant amount of product. I don't want to have puddles on my surface, but I do want to be generous because I'm going to be using the misting method. People often ask what's in my bottle. It's just water, plain old water. And I'm misting my paper, and what that does is allows the fibers in my paper to relax, so that when it comes into contact with my decoupage medium, which is water based, it doesn't respond because that's where our wrinkles come from more often than not. So I am just going to, whoops, I laid that down kind of crickety. There we go. And you guys see how I'm able to reposition that paper. I'm being careful, but if that were a napkin, there's just no way, right? It would be over. So the 18-pound tissue is a lot more forgiving than napkins are. And when I'm pushing down, I'm making sure there are no air bubbles underneath there. And I'm also making sure there's good adhesion between the paper and the surface. When you're working with a surface like this one that has some texture, I really take a little bit of extra time to make sure and push the paper down into like any recessed areas in my texture. So I'm going to mist that. We're going to let that paper chill out and stretch out while I apply more medium. I always like to look at my projects from the side. And what I'm doing is making sure that I have full coverage and that I have even coverage. If sometimes you'll think you covered the entire surface and then you look from the side, you guys see how it gets shiny? If you look from the side and there's a part that isn't shiny, then you know that you didn't put product there. And 9 times out of 10, if you're getting bubbles under your decoupage, that's what's happening too. And I always work from one side to the next. and I'm pushing out any bubbles as I go along. If you guys would like to learn more about decoupage and really explore all the opportunities that you have using decoupage, I do have my Decoupage with Confidence course that's available at roycycledacademy.com. And the first portion is primarily focused on like decoupaging without wrinkles. But then in addition to that, we take some deep dives on some more advanced decoupage things, whether that's underpainting, blending your paper when it's not big enough. I go over a little bit of color theory or how to mix your own colors because that's important when you're blending your papers. And so it's a pretty extensive class and it is available at roycycledacademy.com. And it comes with a workbook and um, lots of samples. So I'm not talking. I mean, I am talking, but I'm like working the whole time. Shiplap, yes. I don't know why that word would not come to me. Tara says she always learns something. I should start. I'm looking at the comments today. I probably shouldn't be today out of all day. Thank you, Tara, so much. I appreciate that. It really is my heart to teach. I should have been. I used to work for the state, and I remember we had a district. Judy was her name. She was like our district trainer, and at the time, I just had my oldest son, and I was like, oh, when my oldest gets, to be older, I want her job because she travels all over the district and she just taught. Like, we had to know like tons of policy. So she did a lot of policy education, HR stuff. But then, I thought I'd have another child when my oldest was 11. So that happened, which was fine. I loved him. He gave me so much in later in my life when I thought I was not gonna, I thought I was gonna be done earlier. That was not God's plan though. But I get to teach you adults now, which kind of like this is a lot more fun than policy, right? So I'm just using my dryer. I'm gonna dry this and trim it. And for my people who are just learning, and you see people doing like really complicated projects, I want you guys to look at this side of this project because literally we did a little bit of grunge underneath. Can you guys see how that translated? Like it's there, you can see it, right? But it's not really loud, but it does add some dimension to this piece. And so that's why I like underpainting sometimes. It's kind of an understated element that you can easily add to your decoupage project. And it doesn't have to be like a halo. I love a halo, but it could have just as easily have been stamps or stencils, right, that you put underneath your paper. And it does work the best with lighter designs. Like even this design isn't the lightest, but you can still see it underneath there. And I just want to make sure that this is dry. I do like to make sure that my paper is completely dry before I trim it, so that I can get a nice clean trim. I'm using my finger sander today, and this is like a 180 grit. I always say that I like a 180 to 220 grit when I'm trimming my paper. It's fast, right? But it's not gonna score my paper. So like an 80 grit, the grit on there is so big that I feel like I end up with a bunch of like score lines on my paper. And if I go up to like a 300 or a 320, then I'm like sanding forever. And I don't want to do that either. I want it to be pretty quick. And when you are looking at your sanding, the higher the number, the finer the sand is. The lower the number, the bigger the grit is. So something to think about when you're buying, whether it's a sanding pad or a sanding block for a project. There really isn't much to sand on this side. I was playing it close. And you guys will see how my motion is down, down. I'm not going across and I'm not going up and down. I don't want to, if there's a piece of paper that isn't adhered well, when I cross or up and down, I risk lifting it off and possibly tearing it. So my motion is always down, even though I'm going diagonally across, it's still down. And I believe we sold a set of these on Whatnot. I don't remember who bought them though. When you guys buy stuff from me on Whatnot, will you guys send me pictures of what you make with it? So when we do once a year, my assistant and I kind of go through the wood pile and we make a bunch of stuff. And we do sell, and they're like upcycled craft supplies, right? And we sell them on our Whatnot auctions. Our Whatnot auction is generally the first Friday of every month. We're live on Whatnot and we're auctioning off stuff. I mean, cool vintage stuff too, but also supplies. Sorry, I kind of forgot that was up there. So I'm just get a little bit. I like to go around and just kind of lift my paper up a little bit. And if anything pops up, I just put some more product underneath it and make sure everything is tacked down. So like I could be done, right? This could be a shelf sitter, maybe add a bow right here. You guys know I'm awful at bows and I don't generally do that, but I could. I could add a bow there, and I would be completely done. But you guys already know that we're gonna do the other side. So this could be like my grungy spring. If I'm feeling this vibe, I could display this side. I do want to show you guys something really quickly that happens sometimes. Sometimes when you sand your paper to trim it, one of two things either happens. Either A, you end up with like a white line right here where the paint is peeking out, or maybe you hit your paper just right and you pull the ink off of the top of the paper and so it looks white around the edges. So I'm going to show you guys how I kind of address that when it happens. I'm not going to stress out trying to go through there and remove all that white, although I could, right? I could sand that until that came off, but then I risk like sanding my paper and making my problem even more. So some of that came off. Or I could just take my little ink pad and I could just go around the edges like that. And that way you don't have kind of that bright white sticking out, either from the paint or from the paper where you've possibly pulled off some of the pigment from the top of the paper and reveal the paper pulp underneath. So just a quick little dab with your dabber around the edges, and you take care of that. And that also kind of reinforces my halo, right? So if you're new, like this could be done just like this, right? And you could move on. You could put this on your shelf and you would be completely finished and you wouldn't have to do anything else. However, and I told myself I was going to do something super quick so we could get back to the warehouse so we can finish getting paper folded. I mean, we're packaging and folding at the same time. You guys would die if you guys saw the amount of paper that comes into my warehouse during a new release. It is absolute insanity. The guys have been there folding and packaging all week. My main goal today is to start packing orders so that we can start sending paper out early next week. My goal is always to get the paper in the hands of my retailers before we actually do the public launch, so that they'll have it for you guys and it'll be ready for them to ship out to you. And we are always recruiting new Roycycled retailers to carry our decoupage paper. So if you have a creative business and you're considering bringing on a new product, consider Roycycled. I think we're an awesome company to work with. I'm very personable with my retailers. We meet quarterly. We have business classes, and it's in Zoom, so we're like meeting in real time. And I bring in my coaches basically. I'm in several masterminds. I have different coaches, so they come in and they teach different things each quarter. Although next quarter I'll be teaching on ChatGPT. We do a 20-mile territory protection 20 miles is like the base. If you live in like a densely populated area, it may be a little less than that, but that's essentially what our base is for territory protection. Um, I thought of something really good that I never talked about yesterday, and now I can't remember what it was. I don't know. I kind of want this little thing here on the top. So if you're thinking about, or you're curious about being a Roycycled retailer, you guys can find the information at roycycled.com. Just push wholesale, and you guys will get the information. If you fill out the form on the website, you're not actively applying. You're just putting in, like you're putting in an interest, a request. And so when you put that in, my assistant's going to look to make sure that your territory is open before she has you go through the steps of applying. You know what I mean? So that's why we do that. It's kind of a pre-screening. Online only is also available. There are some restrictions. So let's say your territory isn't available, but you really want to carry. You can ask about being an online only retailer because that is an option as well. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to run my fingers around and I'm going to score. It's hard. This one has a lot of rounded edges on this side. So I'm trying to score my paper so that I know exactly where to trim. And our buy-in for our retailers is pretty low, and our requirements to maintain your status as an active retailer is that you do submit a minimum order once a quarter. We have that. It's kind of a mutual agreement. We're agreeing to protect your territory, but you're also agreeing to maintain inventory so that you can serve those customers, right? It wouldn't be fair to have you lock down a territory and you don't have any like inventory for those customers who are looking for design. So that's how that piece works. That is so pretty, right? It's kind of the opposite, which is like, if you're like me and you have multiple personalities, this is perfect. So I'm going to mist. And for this paper, I can mist the front or the back, right? Because it's a light color paper. For the darker colored papers, you may want to mist the back because the ink on the front can serve as a resist. It doesn't keep the paper from getting wet, but the moisture does absorb a lot slower. We were working yesterday and I had one of the papers and I was able to demonstrate that. And so I'm looking from the side, making sure I have even coverage, and then I am smoothing that down. If you are just popping onto the live, we are making a shelf sitter out of a scrapped wood project using Roycycled Decoupage Paper. Roycycled paper is an 18-pound tissue paper, so it's a heavier tissue paper. The sheets are 21 inch by 29 inch, so we're just using small portions of this design. And if you are looking for the paper or the retailers who carry it, you can find both at roycycled.com. Oh, and retailers also have access to free continued education. So at least once a year, I have a class, which a lot of you participate in, like my Decoupage with Confidence course, for instance. My retailers are able to take that class free because I want them to really be confident and, understand how to use the product. And when you come on as a retailer, on your dashboard, the past classes are there for you too. So you don't have to wait for me to teach a live class. The class is already there for you. And same thing with the stencils. Although we haven't done a stencil class in a while because I haven't released stencils, I did find a manufacturer who's able to handle the volume that we create. And so I'm hoping, not hoping, I'm claiming, that's my new year, my new word for this year. I'm going to have stencils out soon. It would be a lot easier if I would just buy existing SVG files and cut them, but no. No, I have to render my own stencils because it's just madness. Absolute madness. So I'm going to dry this same as we did the other one. And then I'm going to trim it. While I'm drying, guys, I'm going to put a little video on. If you guys will take a few minutes to watch this, and then when we come back, I also have some additional information for you regarding what's on the video. Maybe. Oh man. Oh, I didn't go down further enough.
If you've been craving time just for you, time to create, to breathe, to reconnect with who you are, I want to personally invite you to the 2026 Roycycled Besties Retreat. We're gathering in beautiful downtown Safford, Arizona for 3 days of creativity, connection, and rest. All your creative supplies are provided, breakfast and lunch are taken care of, and you'll even receive exclusive recycled retreat only goodies. We are already over halfway full, so if your heart's been whispering maybe, this is your moment to say yes. Click the link to claim your seat. I would love to meet you here.
Just drawing my paper so that when I trim it, it can trim really nicely. And I did have, I'm going to show you guys a couple of testimonials just because it's easy for me to say the retreat is wonderful, but I thought it'd be nicer if you guys heard from your peers.
Come for the community. Come and just feel this freedom to be yourself and to learn in a very safe space. Come for the freedom of all of that and just be a woman in a space that's safe for women.
And I have one more, and then we'll get back to our project. It's still drying anyways.
Like, as somebody that has taken Royce's online classes, this was those classes bigger. But it's that feeling that you have when you're attending one of her online workshops, and it's just that in the flesh. It was great. It was absolutely great. I highly recommend coming to this retreat.
The Roycycled retreat is coming up at the end of April, and I do still have some seats available. So if you guys want to come and experience like an in-person course with me with like-minded creative women here in my small town on our historic Main Street with good food, with good company, and new friends, because we've had some friendships that were formed at that retreat that I still see. There's a group of ladies, they've been traveling to other retreats together since they left my retreat. Then come join us. It's so good. It's so good. The retreat includes all of your art supplies that we're going to be using for the weekend. It includes your breakfast and lunch each day. And I mean good breakfast and lunch. I'm only using local restaurants who use like really good ingredients, and they're making fabulous foods. Our local baker made us quiche last year. They were so good for breakfast. All of your swag bag. And I want to just say that this is not a swag bag of like a random stuff that you might not use. Your swag bag is like a recycled apron specific for the retreat. I'll be making a stencil just for the retreat. I'll be designing a paper just for the retreat. Your other supplies, and then I'm going to be releasing a brand new product. And I haven't said to anyone, well, maybe my recycled besties know what it is. And you each will get one of those in your bag as well. So like your swag bag is worth over $100, just your swag bag by itself. And plus just the value of coming to the retreat and having a good time and being able to create. I really do like to push people's creative limits, and it's honestly just to show you what you're capable of. Like, I don't feel like what I'm teaching you isn't something that you can't do. It was something there all along. And so for me, it's just a matter of revealing it to you and giving you the confidence. That's my heart behind the retreat. And it's not a sit down and listen. You guys can see the ladies were up and we're moving around. We're all mad scientists and we're doing experiments and we're exploring, and then we create things that that you're completely proud of by the time you're done. So if you're looking for an in-person event, consider coming to the Roycycled retreat. And if I have anybody who came to the retreat who's on, oh, thank you, Creations. I appreciate that. If I have anybody who's on who went to the retreat, I would love to hear your experience. Even if it wasn't good, you can tell me that too. I haven't heard that yet, but it could be. I think the only thing, and you guys, so we had tables where we had the we had like what do you call them? Stations, right, for different experiments, and they were like on regular tables. So you guys, I am having George make some risers with PVC pipes, so the tables will be higher this year. So that'll be easier and more comfortable for your backs. So I'm not saying the retreat is perfect. There's some I mean, not corrections, but there's some improvements that we're making. I was telling my Roycycled besties inside of my membership that I feel pressure. It went so good last year that I'm feeling pressure to like make it be good this year too, or better than last year. You know, sometimes when you have success right away, it can be more pressure because you still want to do better than you did the last time, but it was really good this last time. So I have to do like more than better. I'm just sanding off some of that extra white paint because I didn't mean to sand that off, but we're gonna leave it. We're gonna call it character. One of the reasons why I love decoupage paper so much, just because of the instant gratification. Like you decoupage that on there and look at how pretty that is. And it's like instant. And I don't even have to do anything, but you guys know I'm going to do something. I am going to go around my edges with this dark. I'm not going to add a lot of dark to this one because I would like for this side to feel like fresh. You know what I mean? We have our grungy side, and then this side will be like the fresh, springy side, right? So I can have multiple personalities and I can display whichever side I want. I'm debating on what I should do with the sides here. I don't know. Because if I paint it white, it'll be fresh, but that white wouldn't necessarily look good here. But if I put some dark wax, I think it might look better on either side. So this will help pull this one so that the wax makes sense for that one. Now, I can be done with this as it is. And I should be done with it as it is. But I'm probably not going to do that because I feel like I need crackle on this side. Don't you guys think I need to do crackle? So I'm going to go over the top. This is a step I take with the crackle. I don't know if you have to. And I said yesterday, I have no scientific evidence to back my theory, but I do think that when you start with a shiny surface that the crackle works better. So I'm just going to go over the top of this with some decoupage medium that I have that's glossy. And I'm only using the decoupage medium because I don't have any shiny varnish because I don't like shiny. So as a general rule, I use matte, but I got this and it's glossy, so I'm using it. So I'm going to put some gloss over the top of this and I'm going to dry that really quickly. And then we're going to do the crackle medium. It's a fine line crackle. And I'm like, I found two addictions since I started doing these daily lives. One is milk paint and one is fine line crackle. And both of them are because they're texture, because I'm a texture junkie. So I'll go ahead and put this question up here since I'm drying. Sue's asking, does anybody know if you can decoupage on canvas paper? You absolutely can. If you're using canvas paper, you're probably using like an acrylic medium. So you can use that acrylic medium to decoupage on there. Just imagine all the artists who are doing collage, right? Because it's essentially the same action as far as gluing paper to the surface. So yes, you can absolutely collage to to canvas paper. So I'm going to dry this really quickly. This is my plan. I'm going to dry this. We're going to do the crackle, and then I'm going to wax everything, and then we're going to be done. That's the plan. That's my story, and we'll see if I stick to it. I don't want to add any more I wonder if white wax, see, never mind. Don't do it, Grace. Just stay focused. Because I'm like, I wonder if white wax would be really cool over this one because it's so fresh as opposed to dark wax. Oh, my brain, y'all. You guys should see how many projects I have prepped for these daily lives that are over there, like ready to go. Do you think I started with one of those today? No, no. Because I saw this when I went to the warehouse. And so then I'm coming back and I'm trying to hurry and get this prepped while my laptop was updating so I could do this today. It says Idaho Forest on the bottom. I think I'm going to leave that. That's kind of cool. I love when I find typography on something. There was a sticker over that. Interesting. Okay. So, oh, look at how pretty that is. And we could be done right now. Fresh. This is my fresh personality. This is my grungy personality. And I could put my shelf sitter down on either side and it would be beautiful. And these are both from the same piece of decoupage paper. We're using the Botanical Masterboards decoupage paper to do today's project. I think I'm going to just leave that wood there. I think it's fine. So I'm going to use a 2-part crackle. And I'm driving you guys a little bit crazy because I'm not being super specific with brands. And there is a reason why. I want my retailers to be able to share this video and not have to worry about my using a brand that they don't carry, right? So that's why I'm not mentioning brands specifically during the live video. But if you want to either message me or drop a question after the live is over, I'll answer and let you know what I used. It's not like a secret. And you know, Sue, speaking of like canvas paper, you can absolutely I use this decoupage paper in my artwork all the time. And I love it because I can collage with it. And because it's super thin tissue paper, the profile is so much lower than, you know, the thicker papers. I'm going to try a thinner application of my crackle medium and see if I can get like a super fine crackle. You know what I mean? Usually, I mean, you still want to put it on kind of thick. That's kind of one of the tricks. If you're putting it on super thin, you're not going to get crackle as easily. But I want to try to put it on a little thinner than usual and see if I can get some finer crackles. And you guys will see that I'm like cross hatching my application. And this is another thing. I have no scientific evidence to support my theory, but I like really small like cells of crackle. I don't like those long crackles like that. And I think it happens because when you do like a stroke of medium like that, it travels down that stroke. And so I like to do cross hatches when I'm applying any crackle medium so that I can get, you know, the smaller square type crackles and not the long linear crackle. They're not my favorite. And I'm going in a little less generous this time. So hopefully I still get crackle. We're going to see what happens. Every time you guys come and hang out with me, it's like a laboratory. We're testing things out. I guess I'm testing it so you don't have to. And when you're using crackle, sometimes you can be disappointed because maybe you didn't get like a uniform crackle over every single area of your piece. But if you guys think about what like crazing is, because it's usually a varnish that's failing, right? And I've seen like oil paintings where the whole thing doesn't have crazing. It's just like it can just be a patch. It's not the whole thing. So when we're doing things like this and we're kind of replicating age, I think sometimes we have to remember that if we're really replicating something aging, that it's not going to have uniformity, right? Because that's not how things work. So I'm going to dry this. And I kind of think that the heat also helps the crackling, the crackalacking. And I'm not going to do crackle on the other side, just on this side. Let me see if I have any questions over here on TikTok. I don't think so. People are probably popping in and out over here. And if you guys are just popping on, my name is Royce Hunt Bell from Roycycled Treasures, and we're doing a quick craft using Roycycled Decoupage Paper. This is going to be a shelf sitter. This is just a piece out of our scrap wood pile, and we've added this like rusty strapping to the top because I love rusty gold, right? And we've decoupaged both sides of this so far. We have like our grungy side where we did some underpainting and we decoupaged, and then now we're working on the pretty side. And both of these are from the Roycycled Botanical Masterboards decoupage paper, and we've used less than a third of the paper. And so there's still plenty more to make other beautiful things. And if you are looking for Roycycled Decoupage Paper, you can find it at roycycled.com. You can also find the retailers who carry the paper at roycycled.com. And if you're watching and you are a retailer, please put your link where the customers can find your paper. That's probably the number one question I get is where do I find the paper? Or what is that paper? Or is it napkins? So it's not napkins. Recycled paper is a tissue paper. It is an 18-pound tissue paper, so it's a little heavier than, regular tissue paper. It's a lot heavier than your gift wrapping tissue paper. It's almost twice as heavy. It's an 18-pound. Usually the stuff you put in your gifts is like a 10-pound, and it's certainly heavier than napkins. But because it's still tissue paper, it does virtually disappear on your surface when you decoupage with it. So you can see like it's on there and it becomes part of your surface. So that was part one, and we have that on there. Let me stir this before I have a silicone stir stick and I don't know where. Oh, there it is. Let me use my silicone stir stick. I love silicone, you guys. I have my silicone mat. I have my silicone cups. And the reason why I love it because it allows me to be more sustainable in my crafting instead of throwing everything away, because stuff doesn't stick to silicone. So it's super easy to just clean it and reuse it. So I'm going to clean off anything I have on this because I don't want to contaminate my stuff. I probably should use alcohol just to make sure. I'm going to use this stir stick and I don't want to contaminate my products. So I am just going to use a little alcohol on it to make bacteria or anything else in there. We don't want no problems. But I do love using silicone. And this silicone mat, you guys, comes in a whole roll. I love it so much. I use it for so many things. One of the questions that we got during a daily live last week is for the Roycycled Paintable Decoupage paper, can you paint it before you decoupage? And I was like, well, you guys know I can't let stuff go. So I believe I have come up with a way for you guys to do that. And we might do it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to come live tomorrow. I'll be honest with you. It depends on how far we get in the warehouse today, because my goal is to get all the paper out to my retailers. So it depends on how far we get today, whether or not I'll be live tomorrow. So I may be here tomorrow. I may not. Super important when you do this that you start off with a dry, clean brush. Okay. So I'm going to go in. This is the second layer of my crackle. And again, I'm going in. I'm still being generous, but I'm usually a lot thicker. And I probably should not be going over that again. Don't do that. When you lay it down and you move on to another area, just leave it. Because when you keep going over and over again, that's another way that you can not end up with crackle. And I think I love the Fine Line Crackle because it does remind me of the crazing that you would see. There was a ball spot right there on an old oil painting. Um, I think that's why I love it so much. Or like old stoneware or old china. So yummy. So I'm going to apply some heat, and the heat is going to dry the product. And I really do believe that it also encourages the crackle-lacking. And I did start this off. The white that you guys saw on this project was white primer. And it's a stain blocking primer, but I don't know how much stain blocking quality I'm going to get because I did it right before we came on live. And I do see a little bit of bleed through right there coming from the wood underneath. It's not going to be a big deal. It'll be fine. But if you are wanting to use your primer for stain blocking, you really want to make sure that you give it time. Oh, TikTok is like making me do something. Sorry, you guys. I didn't know it wanted me to do something over there. Um, you have to give it time to cure a little bit before you go right on top of that with the water-based product. So when you're painting wood, especially like furniture, and we're buying used furniture, used home decor, um, it could be a tannin, which is a natural oil in the wood that raises to the top when we go over it with our water-based products. Or it could be a stain that was left on a piece of furniture from something that was spilled years ago. That can bleed through on top of your finish if you don't prime. So if you're using your primer for its stain blocking qualities, you want to prime and let it sit for at least 3 hours so that it can really lock in anything that's going to bleed through. If you get a lot of bleed through, like on top of your primer, do another coat of primer before you start painting and let that sit again. It can be a pain. But it's worth it if you don't. I mean, you don't want to have a piece that you're painting and you're putting decoupage on, and you're putting transfers and stencils, and then you walk by your furniture piece or your home decor piece like a week later, and you have a big old orange blob on it where tannins bled through, or you have a big old stain from some cup that was sitting on that piece of wood years ago. It's worth it to take the time to prime. And I'm at an hour. How does one take an hour to do a shelf sitter? I have a spot right here that's like, I can't tell if it's dry, and I don't want to touch it because I don't have a fingerprint on there. Um, but I can see a lot of crack-a-lacking that's going on. You guys can't see it yet, but you'll see it when I add the paste on top. And I said I was going to leave this one fresh and springy, didn't I? I'm sorry, y'all. I lied. I can't even help myself. It's more fresh and springy than the other side, though. And again, if you're new to decoupage, right, and everything I do looks really complicated, just know that you could have been done, right? You could have walked away and not done any crackle, and you would have had a beautiful shelf sitter just like this without doing anything else to it. I would paint the sides though, which we're gonna just wax it though. I think that'll bring it together beautifully. Some dark wax. Or you could use dark glaze too. You guys know if you take like a glaze, you can use it to stain your wood, or even if you have like your favorite, you can put a little water in it and you can use a pigment in that paint to stain your wood as well. I think that is dry. Yeah. Oh, and I think for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and just put dark wax on everything. And am I going to do clear wax first? No, because we're almost out of time. So I'm just going to go right over this. You guys see how as soon as I put the dark wax on, the crackles appear. Oh, they're so beautiful. I love it. And I did put a little bit thinner coat, and I did get smaller crackles. So Something to think about. If you want your crazing to be smaller, just put on a little less. You still want to be generous, but maybe not put as much. And I didn't put any additional wax on here. This is not quite dry yet. I didn't put any additional wax on here, so there's just a little bit. Um, but look at that. Oh, that crackle is so yummy. I just love it so much. And so, can you guys see that? Now I'm going to go around the edges of my wood with my dark wax, and that's just going to bring everything together. And given that we have our rusty, I'm going to put some wax on that too. Our rusty bit here, it kind of just makes sense for our sides to be dark. Wax all the things. And I don't have to worry, like to me, I don't have to worry about this finish being super durable because this is going to be sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's not going to be like a furniture drawer or even like a jewelry box I'm going to be opening and closing. So this wax is going to be fine. And that is our project for today. So just a super quick recap of what we've done, you guys. Today I used a recycled botanical masterboards decoupage paper. And I'll show you guys the pieces that we have left. The recycled decoupage paper is 21 inch by 20 inch. So like we still have a ton of paper left to do additional projects, even after doing two sides of this one project. And we used a water-based varnish to both adhere and to seal our paper. I did go around, I did an underpainting on this side using a permanent ink, and then we decoupaged on top, and then I took my dauber and went around the edges again with that. And then we did the two-part crackle over the top of this decoupage paper on this side. And I also used my dauber to go around here. And then we did some dark wax around the side. And that's it. So this piece of scrap wood is now a super cute shelf sitter that I can put, or I can even hang this if I wanted to hang it somewhere, right? And that's all I have today. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I want you guys to know that when I say I'm experimenting, I am being completely serious. My mind keeps ideating even after I start making something. And if I think of something that I haven't done before, when we do it together, I do not know what's going to happen. And I believe that that is where your creativity grows, or in those spaces where you experiment and you play. So I hope that you guys learned something new today, but probably the most important thing I want you guys to take away is that where experimentation goes, creativity follows. So give yourself permission to experiment and to play. Even if it doesn't work, it's not a failure. It's just a learning experience, and it will help you grow creatively. You'll either learn what to do, something new that you're going to incorporate in your process, or something that you'll never do again. Either way, you've learned. But thank you so much. I may see you guys tomorrow. I don't know. It depends on how far we get in the warehouse today, because we are preparing for a new launch of papers. The new announcement for the new papers will be a week from tomorrow on Chatting and Crafting with Royce and Dave at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be live tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Chatting and Crafting with Royce and David. I don't know what we're doing, but it will be something fun and fabulous. And hopefully I will see you there. You guys have a good day, and I will see you guys next time.